Morning. Good morning, everyone. Good evening, everyone. There are different students in different parts of the world. It is 7 o'clock p.m. here in California. I want to give you a warm welcome to Pasadena City College on Zoom meeting. This is our first time meeting. I am Amy Chung. I'm your academic counselor, and I'm joined by the International Student Center Director. I'll let her introduce herself.
Thank you, Amy. Hi, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. We're very happy to see you. My name is Olivia Liu. I'm the director of the International Student Center here at PCC. Again, like Amy said, we are very thankful that you are here today to learn how and understand a little bit more about how to register for classes here at PCC. And this is our first time meeting you over Zoom. And hopefully very soon we will be meeting you in person. So I'll pass it back to Amy to start her session.
Okay, so I just also want to let all of you know that this session will be recorded. You are being recorded so that when we're done with the session, we'll be able to send you the recording. So if you wish to watch this again, you may watch it again. Okay, so you'll have plenty of opportunities to ask questions throughout the presentations. We ask that you do that in the chat. And at the end, if you still have additional questions that we're not able to answer, you are welcome to unmute yourself at the end after we finish recording, and we'll be able to answer your questions. So the session will take about 1.5 hours to 2 hours, depending on how many questions you all have. So we prepared a PowerPoint presentation, and I'm going to ask Olivia to also share this PowerPoint in the chat, as well as all the links that I will be using throughout this presentation in a Word document. So it will be in the chat for you to download so that you can always go back and reference back all the links that I covered today. So once again, my name is Amy Chung. I am an international student counselor. I have been doing this for the past 22 years now. We'd like to welcome all of you and would like to see you in person soon. So the first day of school is August 29, but there are a lot of things you need to do as a student to prepare for that first day of class. So my role as a counselor is to help you in this process. As an academic counselor, my role is to help you with your classes, anything that's academically related questions, such as what classes you have to take, where to transfer, how to transfer, what classes you need to take in order to help you graduate from PCC or transfer. Maybe some of you already decided on your major. Some of you may not have decided on a major yet. That's okay. We're here to help you figure out the major, the university, and classes you need to take. Okay, so I'm going to start the presentation, and feel free to ask questions along the way in the chat. So these are the topics I want to make sure that I cover today. I want to go over the ESL and the math sequence and the general education courses that students need to take in order to graduate or transfer. How to transfer, graduation requirements and transfer requirements, as well as to provide you a list of classes for you to register on your registration date, which is June 16. Okay, so as an international student, all of you are either new students or transfer students. I think majority of you are new students. So the requirements for you would be that you have to take 12 units in the fall and in the spring semester while you're in the US. Now, out of the 12 units that you need, at least one of those classes has to be on campus, taken on campus. So if you wanted to, you can take some hybrid courses, such as half online or half on campus, but at least one of them has to be on campus. So typically 12 units equals to about 4 classes per week. Most of the classes here are 3 units each. Okay, so we also ask that you take your ESL or your English class in your first semester until you finish English 1A. And some of you may just start off at English 1A level, which is perfect. English 1A is what you need. So some of you may start off at ESL and then you work your way up until you finish English 1A. We also ask that you consider taking Counting 10 or College 1 in your first semester so that you can join Pathways. So that's part of the Pathways program requirements, that you take Counting 10 or College 1 in your first semester, in the fall semester, as part of your 12 units. Okay, and I'll talk a little bit more about the Pathways program so that you can understand the benefits of joining. And so all international students need to take 12 units, but I also want to let you know that there are some exceptions to the rule. And some of the exceptions are, number one, academic difficulty. So let's suppose you are in your first year and you happen to register for a class that's way too difficult for your English ability. You can meet with a counselor first, and then we can talk about what options you have. One of the options could be that we allow you to drop below 12 units if it's still within your first year, because it is difficult. You register for the wrong class, or your English is not at a level where you can benefit from that class. So we would allow you to drop below 12 units for one time during the first year. Another time you can drop below 12 units, it's final semester, where you may only need 1 or 2 classes in order to graduate, and we would not make you take 12 units in that case. So after we verify that you need only 1 or 2 classes, then we'll be able to sign off for you to take less than 12 units. A third reason you can go below 12 units, it's medical reason. So if you need to see a medical doctor or clinical psychologist, and the psychologist or the medical doctor, after they evaluate your health situation, determines that you cannot handle 12 units, the doctor can sign off for you to also recommend for you to take less than 12 units. Okay, other than that, we ask that you take 12 units minimum. You can take 12 to 16 units in the first semester, depending on your confidence level and your English ability. Okay, so the academic calendar for Pasadena City College, we have 2 regular semesters, which would be fall semester and spring semester. So fall semester begins on August 29th for 16 weeks. And spring semester begins in January. We no longer have winter. You might have heard from your friends in the past where we had winter intersessions. We don't have winter intersession anymore. So spring semester will begin in the January, and then it will end early May for 16 weeks. And then we have 2 summer intersessions. So right now we're in summer 1. Summer 2 will begin on June 27th. So all of you here are starting in the fall, not in the summer. In the future, if you want to attend summer school, that is fine. It is not required for students to attend summer school. It's optional. So if you want to go through college and get through all the classes, finish them sooner, you are welcome to take summer school so that you can get ahead and take more units that way and get through the coursework quicker. So remember, summer is optional. So regarding your online orientation, at this point, we hope that all of you have already done your online orientation. It's like a YouTube video where you watch short videos and then you answer some questions. And then at the end of the online orientation, you would be asked to take the self-guided assessment so that you could help yourself figure out where you should be starting on your English or ESL. ESL stands for English as a Second Language, and math level. So some of you, especially those of you who attended international high school, or maybe you have attended a high school where English is being taught, then English may be your first language, or you come from countries where English is the first language, you qualify for English 1A. Some of you, English is your second or third language, then based on the self-guided assessment questions, it's like a survey questions asking you your comfort level and how long you have studied English, and different questions related to your English ability will help determine whether you should start with ESL or regular English. So all of you should have done online orientation at this point. If you have not done that, please do so immediately, because this is how you get priority registration as an international student, is by doing the online orientation. So there are many steps to trigger the early registration. This is one of the steps that's important. Okay, so now let's go over the ESL sequence. So at PCC, we have 4 ESL levels. The first level starts with ESL 402, then ESL 103, then ESL 004 and 005. So if you, after you take the self-assessment, qualify for level 1 or level 2, then we ask that you take more recommended support courses at PCC that would help you with reading, listening and speaking, pronunciations, and other related grammar topics to help you. If you qualify for level 3 or level 4, then at that level, you don't necessarily have to take additional ESL support courses. You could just take the required one, which is ESL 004 or ESL 005. And you notice that on the upper right-hand corner of this chart here, there's a letter T. T in this case stands for transfer. So if you take ESL level 3 or level 4, these courses count towards transfer. These are 4 units each, and they will count towards the 60 units that you need to graduate or transfer. So these are what we call transferable ESL courses. Okay, so after you finish ESL level 4, you then qualify for the regular English, where our domestic students would be taking English 1A. And as I mentioned earlier, some of you qualify right at English 1A in your first semester based on the answers that you provided at the self-assessment. So then you'll start off at English 1A instead of ESL. Okay. All right, when it comes to math, so you'll see in front of you, there are many math courses. You don't have to take all of them. So we have 2 paths when it comes to math. The first path is what we call SLAM. This is for students who are majoring in liberal arts, social sciences, such as psychology, sociology, child development, music, nursing. Then you don't need to take a lot of math. In that case, most of you would be taking the first statistics 50, and that should be enough. Okay. Now, if you major in STEM, which stands for science, technology, engineering, and math, then you have a lot more math courses you have to get through during your time here at PCC. And depending on how you answer the self-assessment for the math portion, you might start off at Math 3, college algebra. You might start off at pre-calculus, Math 8. You might start off at Math 5A, calculus. That is the highest level a student can be assessed into. And then you just start with 5A, 5B, 5C, and so forth. So this is especially true for students who are engineering major, math, biology, anything that require a lot of math. We recommend that you start off with math in your first semester so you can get through the sequence. So in terms of course numbering system, there is a way you can tell whether a course that you take at PCC is transferable to university or not. And that's by looking at the course number. So for example, ESL 004 is transferable. It's transferable because the number is between 1 through 99. Okay, so it will count towards transfer. Whereas if you take courses that are 100 or above, then you know when you take that course, the units will not count, the GPA will not count towards transfer. So it's more of the lower level courses that are above 100 levels. So for most of you, you most likely will qualify for the transfer level courses between 1 through 99. Okay. There's also something called prerequisites and co-requisites. Prerequisite means there's a condition you have to meet in order to register for this class. For example, chemistry 1B requires that you finish chemistry 1A first. So it's a condition you have to meet. Sometimes it's a class you have to take. Sometimes you have to take an assessment to see if you qualify for this higher level class. okay? Besides prerequisites, there is something else called co-requisite. Co-requisite means you have to take the 2 courses during the same semester. Usually it means a lecture and a lab, like a science course. You have to take these 2 courses the same semester. In this case, it's Architecture 10A and Architecture 12A. It's not a lecture and a lab, but both courses are needed in order for you to be able to complete your registration. And it will tell you if a course has a co-requisite, and I'll show you where you can find it. So this is important for you to know before you register, whether that course has a condition that you have to meet before you can register. So what can you accomplish at PCC? There are a lot of things you can do. Many students transfer to university after they finish PCC. So in California, we have 10 UCs, 9 of which you can transfer to as a PCC student. You can transfer to 9 out of 10 UCs. You can transfer to 23 Cal State universities. You can transfer to more than 100 private universities. And if you like, you can also transfer to a different state outside of California. But most of you are probably interested in universities in California. So when it comes to private universities, some of the more popular ones are USC, University of Southern California, Art Center, for those of you who are interested in art or design. Okay, and among the UCs, the most popular one among international students are UCLA, UC Berkeley, UC Irvine, UC San Diego, and so forth. So it is possible for you to transfer after you complete your first 2 years at PCC. Sometimes students take longer than 2 years, depending on whether you attend summer school, depending on what your major is. So the average time it takes most students is 2.5 to 3 years. Some students are not interested in transfer to university, and that's perfectly fine. You can get your associate degree from PCC and graduate from us with either associate in arts or associate in science. And after you finish your associate degree from us, you can work for 1 year in the field that you study. So associate in arts tend to be more general. So for example, AA degree with an area of emphasis in business. So you take some general education courses, some business related courses. Associate in science tends to be more specific. It's more vocational or career oriented. So we call them career and technical education. So that way students can learn something that's more vocational oriented and find a job in a short time. It is possible for you to get the associate degree and transfer, as many of our students do that, because the requirement to get the associate degree and the requirement to transfer to universities oftentimes are the same, or 95% the same. You just take extra few courses, then you'll meet both requirements. So some students on the way to transfer to universities can pick up a few associate degrees from PCC without having to take too many extra units. So in order for you to graduate or transfer to public universities in California, and by public universities, I mean the UCs and the Cal State universities. So this is like a pie chart that we have. So in order for you to accomplish that goal, you need to complete 60 units. Out of the 60 units that you need, about 40 units comes from general education, and about 20 units comes from your major. Okay, so the idea is that you would complete the first 2 years of university work at the community college, so that when you transfer to the university, you would only take what we call upper division courses for the last 2 years at the university. Okay. So that's public universities. When it comes to private universities like USC, for example, the Loyola Marymount, Pepperdine universities, these are some other also very well-known private universities that allow you to complete just 1 year at PCC and then transfer there. Okay, So that means you have to take more classes at the university, because in order for you to get a bachelor's degree in the US, the typical units is 120 semester units. So the less you take at PCC means the more you have to take at the university to complete your bachelor's degree. For the public universities, usually students would take between 60 to 70 units and then finish the rest at the university. So in terms of general education, we have what's called IGETC, which is a general education list that students follow in order to transfer to university, to UCs and Cal State universities, as well as some private universities, and to graduate from PCC. So most students, we recommend to follow the first GE list, which is IGETC, because it is the most comprehensive, that allows you to meet different goals. Some students are not sure where to transfer in the beginning. And so to capture all the possibilities, we ask that you consider following the IGETC GE list in your first semester. Then there's also a CSU GE list, which is Cal State University, for those of you who are sure that you want to go to a California State University. And then there's the USC GE list, and there's a local GE list. Okay, for today, I want to focus more on the IGETC GE list so that you are familiar with the most popular GE list for now. So I want to show you the IGETC GE list. Okay, so remember I mentioned earlier, you need to have 60 units in order to graduate or transfer. About 40 units comes from this list. Okay, so let me go through this list with you, just so that you have an idea how to select your courses in the first semester. Okay, so English 1A, you need to take English 1A eventually if you don't take it in the first semester. So you might start off at ESL level 3, then ESL level 4, and then you get to English 1A. Okay, you also need to take a course in critical thinking from the choices below. And for those of you who are thinking about Cal State University only, there is also a speech course you have to take. If you're going to UCs and you already know, I don't want to go to Cal State, I don't want to apply to Cal State, then you don't have to take Area 1C. But everything else you need to take for both options, UCs and Cal State. For math, you see here, math, you may have to start off with Math 3, depending on how you were assessed. You may start off at Math 5A and continue. Some of you may not need to take a lot of math because your major is not STEM. Then you would start off with Statistics 50, and that might just be it. You don't need to take additional business or math courses. For some of you who are business major, you may start off with Business 14A and then 14B. So your major and where you will transfer will decide which math you will take. Okay, moving on to Area 3, Arts and Humanities. So in this area, you need to take 3 courses. 1 course from Area 3A, 1 course from Area 3B, and the 3rd course can be from 3A or 3B. Okay, for example, let's say you choose Chinese 22. So that's 1 course, and then you take History 1A, and then the 3rd course can be either 3A or 3B. And I know some of you may be looking at this chart and may be interested in taking art or music. I wanted to let you know that even though you see arts here, these are not how to draw or how to sing or how to play a piano or how to speak Chinese type of classes. They're not activity oriented. These are history, literature type of courses. So if you see photography, it is not how to take pictures. It's history of black and white photography, how it got started. Okay, so the courses in Area 3A and 3B tend to be a little bit easier compared to other areas. So there are some on this list that I would recommend that you consider taking in your first semester. Okay, so let's talk about those. So I would recommend Music 21, Music Appreciation. I would recommend Humanities. 1, humanities 4, Chinese 10, Chinese civilization. So even if you're from China, it is okay to take Chinese 10 or Chinese 12 here, because it's not about how to speak Chinese. It's history of Chinese civilization taught in English. Just like American students can take US history, Chinese students can take Chinese history. So those are the courses that are not too difficult that can be accomplished in the first semester. Okay. In area 4, you need to take 3 courses from at least 2 academic disciplines. What that means is that you cannot take all 3 courses from the same discipline. Like, for example, psychology 1, psychology 2, psychology 5. It's from the same discipline, psychology disciplines. So it has to be 2 different disciplines. So recommendation here, anthropology 1 or anthropology 2, cultural anthropology. These are the easier one. Psychology 1, introduction to psychology, sociology 1. First level does not require prerequisites. Okay, then comes area 5, physical and biological sciences. So for physical science, you need to take 1 course under 5A and 1 course under 5B, biological sciences. Of the 2 science courses that you need, one of them has to have a lab. And the way you can tell if a science course has a lab or not on this list is by looking at whether it has an underline. If it is underlined, that means it comes with a lab already. So you would take something, for example, chemistry 2A on the left side, and then you pick something that has no lab, such as anthropology 1 on the right side, then you would meet the requirements of 1 science course with lab, 1 science course without lab. Okay, but if you're a science major, if you're biology major, chemistry major, engineering major, you will take a lot more science courses in this area, not just 2. You might end up taking 5 to 10 science courses based on your major requirements. Okay, then comes area 6. It says UC requirements only. So if you're thinking about going to UC, you would need to take a foreign language if you have not taken one in your country. For most of you international students, foreign language is not required because you would have fulfilled that requirements when you were in your country. So if you can submit your middle school transcript or your high school transcript to the PCC records office, then you don't need to take a course in area 6. Okay, remember, you still need to prove that by submitting your middle school transcript or high school transcript. We're looking for 2 years, anywhere between 6th grade and above. So for example, you show us 6th grade and 8th grade, that's fine. You show us 10th grade and 11th grade, that's fine. We just need to see 2 years of foreign language taken in a different country so that we can waive you from having to take area 6. Okay, so far, everything is the same for UCs and Cal States, except you don't need area 6 for Cal States. Okay, now besides the general education requirements, there is something called major requirement or major prep. Okay, I want to introduce you to this website called assist.org. It's one of the most popular websites among community college students because it allows you to look up the required courses that you need to take for your major. Okay, so earlier I showed you the pie chart that shows that you have to take general education courses, and this list here allows you to look up what major courses are required for your major. Okay, so that could be 20 units, it could be a little bit less, or it could be a little bit more to make up the total 60. Okay, so when you get onto this website, what you want to do is you want to click on the university that you want to transfer to, and everything is listed in alphabetical order. And on this list, it's only going to show you the UCs and Cal State universities. Okay, no private universities, because private universities have their own website. It's not, you cannot find USC information on this website. Okay, so let's suppose let's pick your most popular university, UCLA. And you're transferring from Pasadena City College. You can scroll down and you see everything is listed in alphabetical order. So I click on Pasadena City College and then I view agreement. So this is in essence like a contract between the university and Pasadena City College to let our students know if you take these courses at PCC, we will count them and we will use them for what's equivalent to our university's first 2 years so that you only have to take upper division courses when you get there. So at this point, I'm going to click view agreement. Okay. And then on the left-hand side, you would pick a major. So let's pick a very popular major among international students. And I bet you it's business. Okay. Do you find business here? No, right? So UCLA does not have a business major. You can major in business economics. That's the closest to business. Okay, so let's say I click on business economics. You really want to go to UCLA, but it doesn't have your business major. It has a business economics major, but you still want to go there. Okay, so on the right-hand side are the PCC courses. On the left-hand side are the equivalent courses that the first 2-year students take. Okay, so what you want to do is read through the descriptions and the details at the top. And then on the right-hand side, it tells you what courses are equivalent. So you would take, if you're a business economics major, you would take economics 1B, economics 1A, accounting 1A, accounting 1B, math 5A, which is calculus, math 5B. Okay, and so that way you don't have to take the courses on the left-hand side that students take at UCLA. You would just jump onto upper division courses when you get there. Okay, so take note of this website. It's very important that you learn how to figure this out, especially if you're going to UCs or Cal State. This allows you to figure out what classes to take for your major. Okay, so let's go back to the presentation. Okay, so general education from IGETC, major requirements from assist.org. Okay, so the next step I want to show you is to just have you watch a short YouTube video on how to look up courses on the scheduled classes. Okay, so the volume may be loud, so just adjust it on your end. So for those of you who came in late, we have some PowerPoints, the PowerPoint that I'm presenting.
Are you ready to advance your career?
List of all the major list of websites. So make sure you download that in the chat.
Earn your MA in teaching with a credential in only 11.
To get started, head over to your LancerPoint homepage. Click on My Classes in Academics on the navigation list, then select Schedule of Classes. On this page, you'll be able to select which term you want to view classes for. Make sure you're looking at the most current year and term. Classes can be found by selecting various criteria, such as subject, instructor, and meet times. For this demonstration, we're going to look for math classes that meet during the week. Click on the search button to get started. The results on the next page can be a little overwhelming, so we'll break it down for you. The first thing we'll see for each course is the title, followed by the course prerequisites, if any are required. Prerequisites are courses that need to be completed before a student may enroll in this course. A brief course description appears next, concluding with total hours of lecture. It is followed by transfer credit status, which indicates whether UC or Cal State schools will give credit for completing this course. The course grade mode indicates what type of grading system is used for credit courses. In many courses, you will receive a letter grade, but there may be an option for a course audit or a pass, no pass grade. The status box indicates whether the course is open, closed, or waitlisted. Students who enroll in a waitlisted course will receive an add code via email if a space becomes available in that class. The boxes for type and meet indicate what type of instruction this class uses. This may be an online course, an in-person lecture class, a lab, or some other form of instruction with an online component. Click on either type or meet, and a window will pop up with a list of schedule type codes and descriptions. The course reference number, or CRN, is the number you will use to add the course as you create your schedule. Make a note of this number exactly as it appears. Click on CRN to find important deadlines for the class, like the last day to drop without a W or to get reimbursed for financial aid. The unit box indicates how many hours of instruction the course meets for weekly. Those with higher unit numbers will generally be larger course loads that require more hours of study time. The meeting time indicates when instruction is held. Confirm that the days and times match your availability before adding each course. If you miss too many class meetings, your instructor may drop you from the class for non-attendance. Some courses do not have a meeting time listed. Instead, you'll see an estimated weekly workload to help you plan your time accordingly. This is an asynchronous course, which we'll talk more about in a few moments. The location box tells you where the class will meet. You might see a building and room number for classes that meet in person on PCC's main campus or one of PCC's satellite campuses, but most classes at this time are being held online. If the location says online Zoom, this is a course that we refer to as Synchronous, which means the instructor will conduct this class at the time listed and students will meet virtually together on Zoom. If the location simply says online, then there is no designated meeting time. We refer to this as asynchronous. If you enroll in an asynchronous course, you'll get more information about accessing lecture recordings and other materials when you get started. Generally, you can still interact with instructors and classmates on Canvas, but this course will not have mandatory meeting times that conflict with other classes. The next three boxes are labeled CAP, ACT, and REM. The first indicates the course capacity, or how many students can enroll in the course. The second shows you how many positions are already filled, and the last one shows you how many seats are remaining. The instructor section shows you who will be teaching this course. The date box indicates what date the course starts and ends, and the weeks box indicates the course duration. Many courses run 16 weeks during the main semester, but there are 8-week courses referred to as first session and second session, and there are other variations as well, so be sure to check this box to confirm the course duration. One last thing, don't forget to check the footnotes for additional information. The footnotes might list restrictions, like courses that are specific to certain programs. Some math or statistics courses may list a support component in the footnotes as well. When enrolling in these courses, make sure you match the CRN of the course with the corresponding CRN of the support component as it appears in the schedule of classes. You are now ready to add courses using the CRNs that you've selected.
So just to recap some of the important concept that was mentioned here. So what is synchronous? Synchronous means real time, right? Real time. You have to meet the professor at the specific time that's listed. Asynchronous means you don't have to meet at a specific time. So let's dive into the schedule of classes a little bit. So remember I told you earlier, you can find the prerequisite. You can find the prerequisite information right underneath the course number. If it has a prerequisite or like a condition you have to meet, it will tell you right underneath the course number. So you'll find it here. If it has a co-requisite, it will tell you there. And it will tell you what this course is about. And it will tell you whether it is transferable to CSU or UCs or both. and it will tell you the location. So pay attention to location. That's how you know whether that course is offered on campus or on Zoom, or it's 100% online. You would find the location on campus if it starts with a letter, ends with 3 numbers. That's usually a classroom on campus, on the main campus. Okay, 95% of the time that's true. It's a room on this campus, a classroom on this campus starts with a letter, ends with 3 numbers. 95% of the time. There are some exceptions. Okay, and then if it's online Zoom, that means you don't have to be on campus, but you have to log in at a specific time. In this case, it's Monday from 9:15 to 11:20 a.m. You have to be available on Zoom to meet the professor online. And then the rest of the time is your own homework time. Okay, so besides that, also pay attention to the special notation. Sometimes it tells you information about that particular section. In this case, 71412 has a footnote here that tells you 0 textbook cost option. That means if you pick this professor at this time, this course does not require an actual purchase of the textbook. It does not mean you don't have to read for the class. It just means you don't have to buy the book. The professor will give you a digital book. So it's an access to an online book. Okay, so if you want to save money and you happen to choose a section that has 0 textbook cost, that's fine. That will help you save money. You just have to read using the digital format rather than the actual book. There are some courses that says restrictions, so make sure you don't take those courses because those are reserved for special programs. You cannot take classes at a different location, only on the main campus on Zoom. But PCC is the main campus. We also have a lot of what we call satellite campuses, like PCC Rosemead or something high school. We borrow those locations outside of the main campus. Unfortunately, international students will not be allowed to take classes at a different location. So make sure you check out the location before you register. And then on the right-hand side are the dates. Remember, most of the classes starts on August 29th, the first day of school, but some classes are Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday only, or Friday only, so they may not start right on August 29th. Some classes are actually short term, so it might start the first 8 weeks. Some classes start the second 8 weeks. So pay close attention to the start and end date before you register. Look at these things and decide whether that's the right class for you to register. Besides just picking the professors, make sure you select the location that fits you and the start time and end time. So on ground classes, again, zoom into the location on online Zoom. That means you have to have computer access, camera access, because professors want to see you. Most of them want to have you turn on your camera while you're in class. Okay, and then online, it's okay for you to take online classes, although we don't recommend new students to take online classes because you learned a lot better, a lot more interactions with professors and classmates. So students have told us that they do a lot better on campus. So in your first semester, even though you can, we don't recommend that you take online classes. You'll get a lot more from on campus. Okay, so there's something else called CRN that's listed right here. When you register for classes, you would need to enter the CRN number. That's the course reference number. Okay, it's a 5-digit number that you can find on the schedule of classes. When you click on the CRN, it tells you more information, such as the last day you can add the class, the last day you can change the grade mode to pass, no pass, for example. Last day you have to pay, and things that's an important date about that particular section. So you can click on the CRN number to find that out. Okay, so something I mentioned earlier about taking Counseling 10 or College 1, and I said I would come back to it. So Counseling 10 is a 1-unit course. It's taught by counselors. It's called Introduction to College. In this class, you're going to learn about the orientation to the structure of higher education. So the associate degree, bachelor's degree, master's degree, and how students transfer. You will help, the counselors will help you make an education plan in the class as part of the class assignment, and to learn about the different resources available to new students. Okay, this is appropriate for ESL level 1 and level 2 students, so it's easier. If you are ESL level 3, level 4, or regular English, then we recommend that you consider taking College 1, which is first year seminar. This course, you will learn to develop critical thinking skills, information literacy, college resources, and success skills. So there are certain habits and behaviors that college students, successful college students have, so that they are getting good grades. So this is really good for students to take in the first semester, to learn how to do research, and also to make friends. A lot of students make new friends in this class, and it is part of the Pathways requirement. So Pathways program, FYE in this case stands for first year experience for new students. It's a special program designed for students in the first year and beyond. So especially first year, you need to have a lot of help, hopefully from friends, but sometimes you may not have friends yet in your first semester. So you will be able to have access to a lot of other resources. For example, we have someone called coach. Coach is not like football coach or athletic coach in this case. They're called academic success coach. Think of them as a mentor or as your big brothers or sister. They are graduate students in the master's degree. They're becoming a counselor. So they help us to help students who are especially in the first semester with transitional information, in transitional issues that you may work with the coach. They can help you with making appointment with a counselor if you don't know how to do that, or just different questions you might have that you ask an older brother or sister, or someone who is more experienced. So in this center, which is the Pathway Center, it's located in the V building, room 100. You can also do your homework here, and you'll be able to use the computer lab, finish your papers. You get tutoring here. You get to use the printer here to print your schoolwork. And you also can pick up your testing materials, such as your blue books, Scantron. And you can hang out here between your classes. So this is kind of like a home away from home for students to do some of the studying before they get home. So if you plan to join Pathways, it's not required, but if you plan to join, these are the benefits of joining. In addition to having an earlier registration date, now international students already have priority registration. You are already in front of the line before most students. But if you want to have even earlier date, usually 1 or 2 days earlier than your international priority registration date, then you can sign up to join Pathways. And I'll show you how to do that in a minute. So Pathways is for students who want to have additional benefits. Okay, so for myself, I am an academic counselor. I wear many hats. Besides being an international student counselor, I'm also a counselor for health science majors. Health science are students who want to go into the medical field, such as becoming a medical doctor, pharmacist, dentist, nurses, so anything that's health related. So my office is located in the L building, where all the counselors are housed. Well, I should say most of the counselors are housed in the L building, the main L building 104. The international counselors, so there are 4 of us. I'm in the L building. The other 3 international counselors are in the D building, room 204, where the International Student Center is located. Okay, so you can book an appointment with us, and I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. When you meet with us, we would talk to you about classes. For example, in front of you is a list of classes that we typically recommend for students to take in the first year. So for fall semester, you would take something like ESL, depending on where you are placed. So in this case, student takes ESL 004, which is level 3, and then math, college algebra, and then college 1, freshman seminar, and then a general education course chosen from the IGETC list, or a major course chosen from the website that I showed you earlier, assist.org. So this is a typical load for a first year student in the first semester. Then in the spring semester, you may take the next level ESL, next level math, something from general education, and something from the major. And then if you want to get ahead and not take time off in summer, you can take summer 1 to 2 GE courses, and summer 2, 1 to 2 GE courses, so that you can get more units completed within the first year. Okay, so this is typical schedule for first year students. Now, in terms of first week survival, we wanted to make sure that you avoid any mistakes that new students commonly make. So we want to make a list here to warn you of making sure that you don't make some of the unnecessary mistakes that will be costly to you. First day of school, again, August 29th. Make sure you arrive early. Even though you have registered and paid for the class, that does not mean that the professor will save your seats. If you are late, the professor can give your seats away to other students. To make sure you're on time. Better than on time is early, because especially if you're going to park on campus on the first day, there will be a lot of students. And some of these students don't have priority registration like you, so they may not get the classes that they really want. So they will go to different classes, even though on the schedule it says close, the student can still go to the class on the first day at the time the class starts, and they would just hope that students don't show up, and then the professor will give the seats to the students who are crashing the course. They're called crashing because they just walk in. Okay, and before the first day, you can already buy your parking permit after you register in August this year. So 2 months from now, before the first week of school, you can go online and purchase your parking permit if you're going to park on campus. You can also go to the bookstore online or on campus to buy your books ahead of time. The benefit of buying books ahead of time is that you might be able to save some money by buying used book. So for example, a new book could be $100. And if you buy a used book and you find a good condition used book, that could cost $75 instead of $100. That will help you save money. Or you can figure out after you register, you look up the course, look up what books are needed, and you don't buy it from our bookstore. You can go to Amazon.com and you can buy your book. Just make sure you have the right edition. You can also go to half.com, ebay.com, or check.com. These are other websites you can purchase your book. You can, as I mentioned earlier, choose professors who don't require the actual books. There is something also called the waitlist policy. So let's say a class has 35 seats available, and that's typical. Most of our classrooms, the maximum capacity is 30 to 35. Let's say all 30 students registered. We don't close the class yet. We open up what's called waiting list. So students who want to be on the wait list can get on the wait list. And if someone drops from the class, that students on the wait list can get an email notification to register within 48 hours of receiving the email. So hopefully none of you need to get on the wait list because you have priority registration. But if you need to do that, you can still do that. You just need to make sure you check your PCC email every day. If you get on the wait list, you have to check PCC email every day, because there's a chance that you get an email and you have to register within 48 hours from the time you get that email. Otherwise, the email goes to the next students. Okay. Crashing the course, it's still possible if you are not on the wait list, for you to still show up on the first day of class. As I mentioned, many new students do. There's no guarantee that you will get the class, but you can certainly try. You can also email the professors if you happen to take an online course or hybrid or online Zoom, and you don't have to be on campus the first day, then you can email the professor. And I'll show you how to do that in a minute. Okay. And also, just as a courtesy, remember to turn off your cell phone. Okay, so put it on vibration or turn it off before you enter the class, and make sure you don't answer the phone in the class. That will be very disruptive to your classmates and to the professors. So in college, professors expect this kind of behavior in college students. So just remember that. Okay, if you happen to register for online classes, make sure that you check your Canvas. So I'll show you where you can find that information. And so Canvas is like a communication between the professors and the students who are enrolled in the class. So they will post requirements, syllabus of what the requirements are and when they're due through Canvas. And you can check that. And so that's how you get notification from the professor. And professors also expect you to do what's called a check-in assignment. Normally it's due the first 3 days of class. So if you don't have to go in the class in person, how do the professors know that you are there and registered? So they give you an assignment and they ask you to check in with them within the first 3 days. So make sure you do that if you're going to register for an online class. And if you register for online Zoom, then the professor expects you to show up with your camera on. Okay. Some instructors may require that you have your cameras on. Some professors are fine if you don't have your cameras on. But if you're not sure, you better email professor first if you don't have camera and you register for the class, just in case the professor happens to require that. Okay, so let's talk about Lancer Point schedule of classes and registration. Now, if you like, I'd like for you to take a screenshot of this page. You're probably wondering, okay, what classes should I be taking in my first semester? This is it. This is the list. Okay, take a screenshot of this list. At this point, I also want to remind you, if you have not done online orientation, make sure you do online orientation. That is how you get priority registration. We need to check those off, and then it will trigger the system to allow you to have online orientation. I'm sorry, to have a priority registration. So earlier I mentioned the math course. Remember Math 3, college algebra. Some of you may be taking Math 3. Some of you may be taking Statistics 50. If you are a SLEM major, liberal arts, psychology, take Statistics 50. If you are STEM major, like science, technology, engineering, you would take Math 3 or maybe Math 8 or maybe 5A, depending on where you are placed. Then remember, I recommended College 1 or Counseling 10. So that would be appropriate classes to take in the first semester. Then I also recommend a few general education courses chosen from the IGETC list. Okay, these are it. These are the ones that are from Area 3 and Area 4. Most of these are from Area 3 and Area 4 on the IGETC list. Okay, so it would look something like this. An ESL course, College 1, Statistics, and a GE course. So this example, the student takes some on-campus courses that meet on campus in person, Monday, Wednesday morning, and then Tuesday, Thursday in the afternoon, and a class on online Zoom, partially online and partially on campus, or it could be 100% on Zoom, and then something on campus. So this is a typical first semester schedule. Okay, so now that you know what classes you may be taking, let's talk about how to register. Your registration date is June 16.
How to add courses using CRNs. Once you've selected the courses you want, you will add them using the course reference numbers, or CRNs. Start from the Lancer Point homepage. Click on My Classes in Academics, then click on Add/Drop Classes. Select the registration term on the next page, then click on Submit. You may be prompted to complete the pre-registration survey for this term if you have not done so already. Click on the link to complete the survey. Once you've completed the survey, click on Submit. On the next page, enter your selected CRNs into the boxes at the bottom of the screen. Be sure to add them exactly as they appear in the schedule of classes. Once you've added all CRNs, click on Submit Changes. If there are no holds or other validation issues, this will add the course to your schedule. Return to the My Classes in Academics page and select View/Print My Class Schedule to confirm you successfully added the courses you want.
Okay, so your registration have done online orientation. That's why I mentioned that many times, to make sure that it really sinks in. You have to have online orientation in order to take advantage of the priority registration. Okay, we're almost done. We're almost done. So for you to register for on-campus classes, you need to upload your vaccination information. And the way you do that is by going to this website, and it looks something like this. Submit your proof of vaccination or booster. So booster is not required, but at least you have to show vaccination, and vaccination in your country is fine. So you need to upload this, your vaccination proof on this website, along with a picture ID that has your picture and your name. So passport is usually what most international students use to upload the vaccination proof. Okay. Okay, so the next step, give me 1 second here. So make sure you complete the new international student checklist. So let's go to the new international checklist. So this is something that your international advisors have already sent to you. Okay, so these are the steps. Request your I-20. By now, most of you, if not all of you, already have your I-20. You have already paid your CVIS fees. You have already activated your Lancer Point account, and you have your PCC email, and you have done online orientation. See, I've mentioned this many times. And then learn how to register for classes, which is what we have, what we're doing right now. You're learning how to register for classes. And then the next step is to join the new international student welcome, which is an international student check-in. Okay, so make sure you follow these steps. And then upload your vaccination, I mentioned that, and then attend international student welcome is August 17th. And then sign up for JAM if you want to join Pathway. So if I click on sign up for JAM, it looks something like this. Okay, so you would just click on sign up. This is a 3-day orientation. It can be done on campus or via live Zoom, or it could be asynchronous, meaning you work on it during your own time. Okay, to join JAM, you just need to sign up, and this is also how you get an earlier registration date, so June 15th. So instead of June 16, which is the priority date for international students, you can get 1 day earlier by joining Pathways. And to join Pathway, you signed up for JAM. Okay, these are the dates. So the benefits of joining JAM and coming to the orientation day is so that you can learn more about PCC resources, especially making new friends, because these are all students that are, many of them are international students and also domestic students. So a lot of students make friends through these 3 days of being together to learn about expectations from professors, syllabi, how to choose your major, career choices. So basic information that new students need to know to get started. Okay, check your registration date. You're supposed to have June 16 registration date if you have done everything that we asked you to do. If you don't, then your original date is much later. I think it's July 5th. Okay, so if you check your registration date and it says July 5th, that means you haven't done something. So once you've done that, the next day you check again, you'll see that you have a priority registration date of June 16. And then last but not least, please make sure you paid for your classes, okay, no later than August 25th. It's actually best that you paid right away so you don't forget, because you don't want the classes to be dropped. That's the worst thing that could happen, that you registered, you didn't pay, and then you show up to class and then found out that your classes are all dropped because you didn't pay. Okay, the last day to pay is August 25th. If you want to buy your book ahead of time, do so. If you want to buy your parking ahead of time, you can do that via Lancer Point. And you can even pick up your PCC ID in V100. That's where the Pathway Center is. So all of these things can be done before August 29th. Okay, so the last piece here is I wanted to show you, if you still have questions and you want to meet with us, counselors one-on-one, this is how you can do it. So this is a short video clips on how to make an appointment with a counselor.
How to schedule an appointment with an academic counselor. Do you need to work on your educational plan? Need help planning for your transfer? You can schedule an appointment with an international academic counselor at any time. Here is how to do it. Head to PCC's website at enter your login and password. This is the same credential you will use to log into your Lancer Point account. On the PCC Connect home screen, click on this menu icon. Click on My Success Network. On the International Student Center card, click on Schedule. Select the reason for your appointment and click on Continue. You will see here the availability of our counselors. Select the date you wish to schedule and click Continue. On this drop-down menu, select whether you want your appointment to be held in person, online through Zoom, or via a phone call. You can add more details about the reason for your visit here if you want to. When you are done, click Confirm. Your appointment is scheduled. If you run into any problems, try clearing your browser cache or contacting the help desk through PCC's website. Next, you will receive an email in your PCC email account confirming the appointment and providing you with additional information about the appointment. For in-person appointments, please visit the International Student Center located at the D Building, room 204 on the PCC main campus. For phone appointments, the academic counselor will call the phone number you have on your student account, so make sure it is up to date. For online appointments, The confirmation email will contain a Zoom link. Click on this link at the time of your appointment. The academic counselors, your advisor, and the international student staff are here to help you.
Okay, so I know that you probably have some questions. You may have some courses that you have taken in college, whether in your country or in the US, or you have additional questions that we couldn't answer today. You are welcome to make an individual appointment to speak with us. And so we have actually reserved some special slots for new international students. So take a look at the screen in front of you, and you can do a screenshot. You can go to pasadena.edu/PCC Connect and follow the instructions on how to make appointment. You can meet with us on Zoom, or if you want for us to call you, you can request a phone call from us. So we reserve some slots available for Tuesday, tomorrow from 9 to 12:30, and Thursday this week, especially Thursday this week when you register. If you run into problems, we've got you covered. You can meet with us from 9 to 4:30. So it's a short 15-minute appointment so that we can help you figure out how to register if you run into problems. Okay, all righty. I am going to see, oh yeah, there's no more PowerPoint slides. I'm going to stop here and allow you to ask questions.
And for those who are here today, this session has been recorded. And then so at the, probably by tomorrow, if not in about a day, you will receive a recording of this session. And also the links to this PowerPoint presentation, as well as the links that Miss Amy Chung shared today. And if you have any questions, you're welcome to type them in the chat box. If you don't want to type them in the chat box, you can also unmute yourself and use your microphone and ask your question right now.
Yeah, if you don't have any more questions, you are welcome to leave. If you want to listen to this again tomorrow, I have another one at 7 o'clock in the morning. I cover the same thing. So some of you may want to listen to it again, or you just wait for us to email you the recording from what I have tonight. Okay. Before you leave, if you want to download the PowerPoint and all the links that I talked about, including the YouTube videos, it's in the chat. You can download the two documents, the PowerPoint and the Word document that has all the links. So that way you can always go back to it and watch again. So we purposely have the YouTube videos that are very short, so that in case you get stuck on how do I register or how do I look up the schedule of classes, you can just watch the 1 or 2 minute YouTube video to get familiarized with how to get things done. I look forward to meeting with you in person, hopefully sometime in the fall semester in my office, L Building, room 104. And if you choose to meet with me on Zoom, that's perfectly fine. If you'd like for me to call you, I will call you at the number that's provided. And we can talk more about long-term education plan. That's what I would like to help you with. Short-term education plan for now. By the way, all of you already have an education plan. If you're wondering, I need to meet with a counselor to have an education plan, I already put it in. You all already have a temporary education plan so that you can take advantage of the priority registration. All you need to do on your end is to do the online orientation, which require you to also do the self-guided assessment. And if you want to join JAM, to sign up for JAM. That is how you get priority registration for June 15 for Pathways. If you don't join Pathway, your registration date is June 16. So just 2 days from now, you will be registered for classes on your own online.
Amy, we have a question. One of the students asked. The student has asked, is College One mandatory for international students. Is it okay if they don't want to join this class or take this class?
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier, College One is required only if you choose to join Pathways. Pathways is not required, it's optional. It's just highly recommended because of the many benefits you get, but if you choose not to, you don't have to. You can take courses in your major from the assist.org website. You can choose courses from the IGETC GE list. So it's your option, your choice.
Thank you, Amy. And the next question, I think I can answer this question. Another student has asked, thank you, Javier, is will the international student welcome be held online? So just letting you guys know that orientation at PCC is 2 parts. So part 1 is online orientation, where you take it online and you do the guided, the self-guided placement that Amy mentioned to determine your placement for ESL, English, and math. The second part is the actual international student welcome, part 2. And part 2, international student welcome, will be held in person, following social distancing rules. There may be an option for students who are not able to get there or obtain their visa in time to arrive. You will get additional instructions to join the I would say the asynchronous version of online orientation. It's not the same, but it's only for students who are not able to arrive on time for the physical in-person orientation because they have visa delays that may prevent them from arriving in time. Hope that answers your question.
Is August 17th. You have to be here, August 17th.
Yes. And it's a very important part of your experience here at PCC is not only do you get to meet other international students, but also you get to understand what are the benefits and responsibilities of your F1 student visa. Yes, you do have a lot of benefits as an international student here in the United States. So we do talk about that. And also you get a chance to learn more about the support that you have here at PCC to help you be successful during your time here. So it's not only just presentations, but also you will get to understand what support systems are available to you here at the college. We also have another question from another student. Let me read it. How, and this question is for Amy from May, how to do with no course articulated in assist.com. So if there is no class at PCC that is articulated to the university that she wishes to transfer to or he wishes to transfer to, how do you take those courses?
Good question. Yes, so depending on the no articulated courses is an important one or a less important one, whether it's a must-have or whether it's highly recommended to have. So if we don't have it, you have the option as an international student to take classes at a different college because we don't offer the course that you need. And we would sign what's called a concurrent enrollment form to allow you to take classes at a different college because we don't offer it. And in some cases, it's not very important. They allow the university allow you to take it at PCC or take it at the university. And then after you speak with us, we can look up whether it is an important course or not, and then we'll advise you accordingly whether you should take it at a different college or you should just wait and take it at the university.
Very good question. And it is, I also want to remind everyone here as an international student at PCC, you have access to only international counselors, also to the rest of the counselors at PCC. But that means that you have access to see the international counselors like Amy as one of our more seasoned international counselors. So you don't have to wait very long. If you only see the general counselors, then you have to wait in line with the rest of students at PCC, which is about 30,000 students. So so your waiting time is actually much shorter if you book an international counselor. So please use that to your advantage.
And also, general counselors may not be able to answer international related questions, so they're general counselors. So it's better and faster to meet with an international counselor because we have set aside appointments just for international students. So it's faster and more specific to your needs.
It's definitely a benefit for you as an international student at PCC. Amy, there's also another great question. Each one is asking, can I still join Pathway if I was a Pathway student before? Each one is a returning student.
Yeah, so Pathways is for students who do not already have 20 units. So if you already have 20 units, then you would be able to join. You still can take advantage of the services they have. It's just that you won't have that special priority registration that's 1 or 2 days earlier than the F1 students. Yeah, so Pathways is for students who do not have 20 units yet.
Thank you, Amy. We also have another question regarding paying fees. Sue Thiri Ang is asking, do we need to pay the fees immediately or as soon as we register for classes?
As soon as you register for classes would be the best way to do it so that you don't forget. But the last day that you must pay before your classes are dropped is August 25th. So before August 25th.
Yeah, that is actually quite important. The payment of classes is due at the time that you register for classes. And like Miss Amy Chung said, you don't want to wait until the last day to pay, because if you miss the deadline to pay, you will lose all the classes that are in your schedule. That means that everyone else is free to take your spot or your place for the class that you reserved. So please, please, please make sure that you do pay for your classes by the time you register and no later than the deadline. There's also another question from one of our students. Let me look through this. Let's see, right, hold on. Paying fees, and another student is asking about, they are a transfer student from another college. Do you have any recommendations for what classes to take?
Yeah, so for students who have transcripts from other US college, not in your country, but in the US, it's best that you book a 45-minute appointment with us so we can look at your transcripts. So before we can recommend what classes to take, we want to figure out what classes you have taken so that we can just have you take the remaining courses and not have you duplicate classes that you already have. I still have some appointment slots available for 45 minutes. Some of my international counseling colleagues also have 45 minutes available. So take advantage of that. Book the 45 minutes, not the 15 minutes.
Yeah. This is a good time for you to visit PCC Connect. If you haven't already, we shared some documents with links in them. And PCC Connect is how you book an appointment to see Amy or any of the other 3 international counselors that are open. They have very open appointments right now, so please make sure you book before they fill up quickly. There's another question from May about immunization records. I'm not sure, May, what specific question did you have about immunization? If you can, please type it in the chat. We will be glad to answer it. Huiming is asking, how do you make an appointment with a counselor in the honors program, Amy?
With the honors program?
Yes.
Yeah, so go to pasadena.edu and then type in honors. It will take you to the honors website, and within the honors website, it also allows you to book an appointment with the honors counselor.
And you can type in honors. I think you might be able to visit this link. I believe it works. Pasadena.edu/honors. I believe that is also the honors website link.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So we also have another question here from one of students. Wondering how can I make an appointment with a counselor? If I want to join tomorrow's session, do I need to make an appointment again? This is if you want to join tomorrow early morning, we have another session. So yes, please register so that you can get the link to join tomorrow's in our time morning session. It might be evening for your session. And remember, this session is being recorded. So after tonight, tomorrow, we will send the recorded session to you via email.
Yeah, so the tomorrow session is exactly the same as today. So you can either join again or you could just watch this one again.
Amy, we have another question from one of our students. It says, how do you know you can already register for classes in Lancer Point? They're interested in knowing.
Registration date.
Okay.
Your registration date. Yeah. So the way you check your registration date,
Would you like to share your screen?
Yeah, let me share my screen.
And your registration, all students, your registration date is available through your Lancer Point account. I believe it's under My Academics.
Yes.
My Classes in Academics, I believe. Amy, in a minute, Amy is going to pull it up for you so she can show you. I also have another question that I can answer, Amy, while you pull this up.
Okay.
There is one of our students is asking, do we need immunization transcript to take to PCC? This question is from May. There is no requirements for immunizations other than COVID-19 vaccination. So, but we, on our International Student Center website, if you go to pasadena.edu/international, you can see under newly admitted students, or under, let me see, under students, you can see the recommended immunizations that the college has for you. So once you are under registration, I believe, yeah. Under registration, you should be able to see a recommended immunization records. Our student health center, PCC, our PCC doctor, is recommending all international students to bring their immunization cards with them when they come to the United States. Again, you do not need any other immunizations aside from COVID-19, which is a required one. All other immunizations are recommended, highly recommended. But when you do come to the United States, we highly recommend that if you have an immunization transcript or immunization card, to please bring that with you to the United States, just in case if you need any medical attention. The doctors will know how to help you. We also have another question regarding paying for tuition. Is there a limit way to pay for tuition, or any credits, credit card or debit cards are accepted? PCC accepts payment in many different ways. Credit cards, most international credit cards are accepted. If you want to pay, if you're in the United States, if you want to pay in person, you can also pay in person with your credit card, with cash, with your debit card, however method you want. PCC has a student bank. If you are here in the United States and would like to pay in person, you can go to the. Amy, are you ready to share your screen?
Yeah.
On how to check registration?
Yes.
Okay. Check your registration.
Are you able to see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So from PCC homepage, you go to login. I'm sorry. Go to login. Yeah, I clicked too fast. Login. Lancer Point. And then from Lancer Point, you click on My Classes and Academics after you sign in. So My Classes and Academics. And then check registration status and date. If it gives you a July 5th registration date, that means you haven't done something. Usually that's the online orientation and self-assessment. Okay. So
yes. I hope this answers your question.
Check your registration date the next day because it changes the next day. So it doesn't change immediately. It changes the next day.
And most likely for some of you, if you have a late registration date, we probably will email you and remind you that you have not completed something and remind you to please complete it till you get the early registration date. We have another question too from one of our students, Ishwan. Ishwan is asking, because winter in session is no longer available here at PCC, the student is having trouble completing major preparation classes. Since they're planning to go to PCC for another year, is it possible to take classes during winter in another community college?
Well, remember, other schools' winter intersession is PCC spring semester. It's the same time. So the answer is yes. If you can find a class at a different school that doesn't conflict with the classes at PCC, then you can do that. So for example, let's say you want to take Econ 1A, or I should say, let's just say calculus, math 5A calculus in the winter time at East LA College, then you cannot at the same time PCC spring semester take math 5B the next level because it's the same time. Okay. Yeah, so as long as it's not that situation, then you can do that. So you cannot take sequential courses that happens at the same time at two colleges. Okay, if it's
Great.
Sequential courses, then it's okay.
That's a great answer. We have another student asking regarding paying for classes. Will there be a situation where the student can be dropped from their classes that they enrolled in before the August 25th payment deadline? Or are their slots secured until the deadline?
Your slots are secure until August 25th.
Correct. Thank you.
We will drop you before August 25th.
We have another question from a student. If they want to request a higher placement than what shows up on their self-guided placement exam, should they book an appointment to see a counselor?
That would be recommended, yes.
Okay. So recommended if you want a higher placement, to please book us an appointment to see a counselor. And there was another student that says, it says that international students must take classes that meet directly on PCC's main campus is only for the first semester or as long as I'm at PCC, as I'm in PCC. I think I can answer this question. Hugh Ying, international students can only take classes on the PCC main campus and also on our Foothill campus. Those are only two campuses that you can take classes at right now. PCC has many other campuses. Northwest is one, Rosemead is the other one. You will be prevented from taking classes at other campuses, other than the campuses that are approved for you to take classes, as long as you're a PCC international student. There are other questions about educational plan. Could you please tell me how I can request for an educational plan?
When you meet with us, just tell us you would like to have an education plan and we'll create one with you. And that's during the 45-minute appointment, not during the 15-minute appointment.
Thank you, Amy. May is also asking, her registration date is tomorrow. So when can I have an appointment with a counselor, after registering or before registering?
If you are able to get an appointment with us tomorrow, which we still have some available, so you could do that tomorrow before your registration time.
Thank you, Amy. We have another question from an international student that is asking, is it possible to have all online classes for all classes in the first semester? I can answer that question. The answer is no. This question is from Johannes, or for any other student. If fall 2022 is going to be your first semester at PCC, you are required to, and you plan to come to the United States, you must, per US visa regulations, you must take at least 1 unit of an in-person class. Remember what Amy said, as an international student, if you plan to be here in the United States in person, you must take 12 units, and only 1 unit of that class needs to be in person. Again, it's because of your visa regulations and your visa requirements. We have another question from a student. The student is asking must I upload my vaccination record before registration for in-person classes?
Yes.
And this is COVID-19 vaccination.
Yeah, otherwise it will give you an error message that tells you have to upload it before you can continue.
Correct. So you must upload your vaccination records if you plan to register for in-person classes. If we have another question from a student, if they're unable to finish the sequential classes at PCC, is there any way for the University of California campuses to make exceptions to take credits for the summer semester before transferring?
The general answer is no, but there may be some case-by-case basis where we have to specifically email that university and they have an answer for you in writing that it is okay. Otherwise, don't put yourself in that position.
Yeah, I would say this question is probably more related, it's a question that you must discuss in private with an academic counselor, because your situation may be very different depending on which University of California campus you plan. So
Yeah,
please use.
Counselors cannot tell you for sure because we don't make that decision. So
That is correct.
Connect you with the admissions officer to see if exceptions can be made.
That is true. Thank you, Amy, for the clarification. We also have a student that says, if I paid for an in-person class and because my visa is delayed, I cannot arrive in the US on time, can I drop the class and then change it into an online class? Should I answer that question?
Okay.
If you're not able to arrive in person because of visa delays, and you register for an in-person class, we highly recommend that you drop that class, because if you don't drop that class, you are responsible for the fees. So please make sure that if you are not going to arrive on time for the first day of classes at PCC, drop your in-person classes. Any online classes, we won't be able to drop them for you. You can continue taking them if that happens because of visa delays. But again, we are not monitoring that. So if you choose to keep your online classes because of visa delays, you can keep your classes. But remember, it's quite difficult for students, especially for your first time at PCC, to be taking all online classes. Like Amy had mentioned, it is difficult. We probably do recommend that you do choose to come here in person because some classes may be meeting at the same time synchronously, and so your time difference will affect that. There's another question, Amy, too. Before attending on-campus classes, international students need to meet with an international counselor. Is that a requirement?
It's not a requirement, but if you want to meet with us to build the education plan, to take advantage of the earlier registration in the future, that's highly recommended. So it's a benefit to you. It's not a mandatory. Some students don't meet with a counselor and they figure things out on their own. And then later on, when they're ready to apply to transfer, they figure, oh, there are things that I haven't done that I should have done along the way. So it's just best to meet with us so that, we could clear out some of the unnecessary confusions, or, sometimes students just want to ask basic questions and it's okay. You may not need to have all 45 minutes, even though you book 45 minutes, you can just ask us for 15 minutes. If there's no questions, you don't have to stay with us for all 45 minutes.
I usually recommend, it's kind of like seeing a doctor. Sometimes you see the doctor on a regular basis just to do a checkup of your body, your physical health, your mental health. It's the same thing with counselors. It never hurts to meet with Amy or to meet with the other 3 counselors if you need a checkup to see if you're making good progress. It's always a recommendation. I don't think there's any additional questions anymore, and I think we've run out of time too. We've gone over time.
Hi,
Yeah.
may I ask the last question?
We do have one additional. This is
Oh,
Ito.
yeah, thank you. I want to ask her for the gym. Do we only need to sign up for the gym, then we can get 1 day before to register for the class?
Yes.
So we don't need to because before I saw like we need to attend 3 days or like something, or we can do later. So what do we need to do?
Jam happens later after the priority registration. So we've verified this with them. As long as you signed up for Jam, you will get the June 15 registration date. You just need to make sure you show up to Jam later.
Okay, so let's say, okay, I can do like after then I can sign up like after.
Sign
and
up
then
today so you can register June 15.
Oh, okay, I got it.
Sign
Thank
up
you.
today.
Okay, and also another question is like before I heard about like you mentioned like you already made the education plan for everyone, or actually we need to sign
I only put one class. I only put one class in your plan.
Okay,
Yeah, it's
okay.
only a temporary plan so that you can take advantage of the June 16 registration date. I didn't plan everything because I haven't talked to you yet.
Oh, okay. So it means if we need to have the full educational plan, we need to have an appointment with you, right?
Yeah, I gave you a temporary plan.
Okay, got it. Thank you. And okay, last question is I just heard about like some students already went to the Pasadena City College, and they told me like about the computer science major, like you need like complete like even like 100 units, then you can transfer to university. I don't know, is it like true?
It is possible.
I saw is usually it's only just need like 60 units, but
60 units minimum.
okay, so
Minimum.
I would recommend it depends on which university you want to transfer to. Some universities may require more units for a computer science major. Some universities don't. And so it is very important when you meet with any of the academic counselors like Amy, is to be very open to tell her, I want to go to UCLA on computer science, or I want to go to UC Santa Barbara on computer science, so that Amy can help you create a good plan based on which university you want to go to.
Yeah, some students want to have plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D. And so we put all those plans in one plan. That's how you get 100 units, because we have to cover all your university's requirements.
that's how it get, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so students want to plan for many universities.
Okay, I got it. So from you guys like experience, like previous experience, like be honest, actually for the computer science major, like usually or generally, like how many units required?
Around 80.
I'm sorry.
Around 80 units.
Around 80, right? Okay, I got it.
So
okay.
80 is not 100.
Okay, so it's still possible. Okay, I mean, it's still possible for less 100 units.
Yes.
Okay, I got it. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Amy.
Yeah, thank you everyone for staying all the way to the end with us.
Hi, I'm so sorry. I know we're over time, but I do have some questions. Are you able to answer that?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so I have a couple of questions here. I'm so sorry for the long wait. But for summer courses, there is 1 and 2, if I heard correctly, right?
Say
Summer
that.
courses 1 and 2.
They are not required. You are fall admit, so you start in the fall.
Yeah, I know, but are we allowed to attend both sessions, or are we only able to take one?
You can take both sessions in the future summer.
All right.
If you, I think, yeah, I think the confusion is when are you admitted?
Mhm.
If you are admitted as a fall student or a spring student, summer sessions are optional for you. You can take summer 1, summer 2, or no summer at all. But if you are admitted as a summer student, then it's different. So if you have friends that got admitted in the summer, their requirements are different. But you are not. You're a fall student, so you can take whatever you want in the summer.
All right. So if I take the summer session, will I be able to graduate earlier?
Yes,
How early?
depends.
All right. And one more thing. So let's just take the example that you gave us, which is business econs. So if I want to major in business econs, do I have to take science courses?
One science from 5A and one science from 5B is good enough.
All right. And one more. I heard there are right now there are not scholarship for international student, but they will offer after a while, after your maybe after test and all. So can I ask if there are how do we know that it is available for us for scholarships?
International students at PCC are eligible for scholarships. There are international scholarships for PCC students. So you can apply as a fall at mid student. You can probably apply as early as when it opens in the fall. So there is a cycle that opens in the fall and there's a cycle that opens in the spring.
All right. Thank you for that. There's a misconception about my friend. She told me that it only opens after you took a test or something. And thank you for that. Yeah. Thank you for that. So
You're
sorry
welcome.
for the long wait.
Thank you for staying all the way until the end.
Any
I still have one more question.
last question?
So I heard as an international student you have to have like a medical examination. Is that like a requirement for you to enter the States, or
No.
is there a
No.
requirement?
No.
No?
No, that's a misconception. So
Okay.
depending on at PCC, some colleges, some universities may ask that you take you show immunization records. At PCC, the only immunization that is required for all students to take an in-person class is the COVID-19 vaccination. All other immunizations, if you go to the PCC International Student Center website, are recommended, not required. Now, if you are outside of the United States and you plan to come to the United States in person, in the past, they did require, the United States government required you to take a COVID-19 test, and it has to be negative before you fly. That is no longer the case. You don't need the COVID-19 test before you fly into the United States. No longer needed. As of today. As of today.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you everyone for staying all the way till the end. I look forward to meeting with you either on Zoom, talking with you on phone, or in person. Thank you for joining us, and good night or good morning. It's